Hey everybody, it's me, Greg Bosson, president of QuickBooks Made Easy for Nonprofits, coming at you with February 2023's Quick Tip to help make life easier for you in QuickBooks. This tip is specifically for those of you that are using the online edition. Of course, it may look different for you because they keep changing the way it looks every single day. But anyway, if you have QuickBooks Online, this tip is specifically to help you get the reporting that you need, your auditor needs, the board needs, and the accountant needs who does your 990 as it relates to your expenses. Now, I'm going to tell you a little background here. Expenses are supposed to be broken up into 3 categories, okay? Program, admin, and fundraising. Now, houses of worship don't have to do this, but everybody else is supposed to report their expenses in these 3 groupings: program, admin, and fundraising. And you will see that when you go to a 990, here's a 990, here's how the expenses are reported on the 990, and you will see there's a column for program, a column for management in general, that's the same thing as admin, and a column for fundraising. And then the rows, these are your natural categories. Now, there's a lot of weird stuff in here that most people don't have on the 990, but here's salaries, here's where health insurance would go, here's payroll taxes, here's accounting, our favorite expense. Here is rent, they call it occupancy, here's travel. So these are your basic expense accounts. And as you can see, you got to report your expenses kind of like in a chart like that, okay? With the rows being the natural category, those should be your expense accounts, and the columns, program, admin, and fundraising. You're going to use the class feature to track that stuff, and I've already got it set up. And let me go into my little QuickBooks. Where is it? Here it is. So here's a little P&L, or statement of activity by class. You can see we have these nice little columns here. When we go down to expenditures, we can see this is how much we spent on admin, this is how much we spent on fundraising, and then each program, because you're going to have more than one program, has its own little class. So this is how you use the class list, okay? And if you don't understand about this and you're not using classes to track program, admin, and fundraising, you need some more training from me. But anyway, the point is, I want to teach you in this tip a little trick about how to organize this better, okay? So if you'll notice, we have admin, aware campaign, that's a program, fundraising, guidance center, synergy conference. Anybody have any idea what this order is? It's alphabetical, okay? That's how it is in QuickBooks. The class list is alphabetical as it appears on reports, okay? So this is not how they want to see it on your 990. See, we want program first, then they call it management in general, that's admin, and then fundraising last, okay? Also, if you get an audit done, the reports on your audit, again, programs the first column, then management in general, which a lot of us call admin in QuickBooks, I do, and then fundraising, all right? So I want this order to match the order that's in QuickBooks. In other words, where is it? There it is. This order here. So how do I change the order? Well, the default is alphabetical. So the trick I'm giving you is how to change the order. Okay, so let me show you how to do this. I'm going to go into QuickBooks here. I'm going to go over to the gear, and I'm going to click Lists. And I'm going to go to my class list, because if you want to change the order of the columns, you know, that's a class report, then you're going to want to change the order of the class list itself. So the way that I'm going to change the order of this, because it's alphabetical, no way to change it, I'm going to use numbers, okay? So I'm going to say, okay, I want the guidance center to be the first one. So in front of the name, I'm going to put O1 space. Now it's going to be the first one on the list. And then the Synergy Conference, I'm going to click it, and I'm going to put O3 space, okay? So now it's the second one. And by the way, I left the 2 blanks so that if I wanted to put a program that's between these 2, then I could do that later. I'd have room. And then the Aware campaign, I'm going to make this O5 blank. Now, and then the name. So then what I'm going to do is admin's always going to be almost at the end. So I'm going to make this 98 space. And then I'm going to make fundraising. See how I'm changing the order? I'm going to make fundraising 99 space. Okay. So now I'm going to go back to the report, which I think is over here. I'm going to refresh it. Got to refresh the screen. And then it's going to change the order. Because now it'll be in the order that I want it. That's my tip. I'm going to throw in a little something extra. Thing that's really cool is I'm going to go over here. Well, actually, I'll do it this way. So it's not really totaling my different programs, yet when I look at my 990, there's just one column for programs. And also, many times your audit will just have one column for programs. Sometimes it doesn't, but sometimes it does. So it'd be nice if I could get a total for all my programs. And I can do that using subclasses. So I'm going to go back over to my class list, and I'm going to create a parent class, and I'm going to call it programs. Okay? And then I'm going to click save. Oh, and I'm going to give it a number too. I'm going to make it 00. Okay? And now I'm going to take the programs and I'm going to make them subclasses of the parent. And you can do this. You can have subclasses of subclasses if you want to. A lot of people have a program that's maybe like the education program, and then they have each subclass is the individual workshop or something like that, so that you can get a little P&L for each workshop if you're into that sort of thing. All right, so beautiful. All right, cool. So now I'm going to go back to my report, and I'm going to refresh the report again. And then what you're going to see is it's going to give me total programs right there. Okay, so I can scroll down to the bottom, and I can see my total expenses for program was $178, $55,000 for admin, $20,000 for fundraising. Most funders want you to spend at least 75% of your stuff on program expenses. So I'm going to give you one more little thing here. I'm going to customize. Actually, I'm not even going to do that. I'm going to click compare another period right there. I think this is where it is. Yes. You see where this says percent of row? I'm not really comparing another period. I'm just open this up to push the percent of row. Then I'm going to run the report again. I got to run it twice. It's a little annoying. So now I'm going to scroll over to where total programs are, and I'll go down to the bottom, and then I don't have to do the math. 69.9% of my expenditures are going for program. 21.94 is going to admin. Fundraising is only 8%. Now, I think that's cool. Okay, so that's it for the tip. The only other thing I wanted you to know is that we have a webinar coming up this week. I think it's on Thursday. And it's a webinar for anybody that has leases. If you lease office space or equipment or a car or cell phones, if the lease is more than a year, I'm not talking about a month-to-month lease, I'm not talking about an annual re-signing of a lease, I'm talking about a lease is more than a year, and you want GAAP-based financials, then you've got to come to this webinar. It's called New Accounting Changes for Leases, and it changed last year, although people are now implementing it for last year, the entire way you deal with leases. And just to kind of give you a heads up upon about what you have to do, basically at the end of the year, so we're at December 31 now, so let's say at December 31, what you have to do is you have to figure out the total future amount you have to pay for all your leases. So maybe you just have a lease on an office space, but you got 5 more years. It's $1,000 a month. That's $12,000 a year. For 5 years, that's $60,000. Normally, you don't book that as a liability. You have to now, okay? If you want GAAP-based statements, starting 12/31 of 2022, you have to go in and you have to book it, okay? So you book it here, future lease liability. You book it as a liability. And the corresponding side of it goes to an asset account called a right of use. So you have to book the future payments as if it was a loan that you used to buy something, and what you bought was the right to use the space. So then this will be expensed over time as rent expense, and then as the lease payments come in, they're going to go against this lease liability. Now remember, in my example, I said it was $60,000, but you don't book $60,000. You got to back it out using the time value of money. You have to impute an interest rate, back it into today's dollars. It's quite interesting. So we got a webinar showing you how to do this. Yes, it applies to you if you have a lease that's over a year and you want GAAP-based statements. To sign up for the webinar, you go to QuickBooks Made Easy, and then you go to webinars, and then you go down here, new accounting for leases in 2022. The change is here because really you were supposed to be doing it all last year. Click on it, and then you click Get Tickets. It's $99. It's happening on February the 16th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be really fun. You're going to love it. And I, of course, love you. And I'll see you there. Bye.